Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, start by, acknowledging, man, our hearts are with the basketball team. Greg Glenn, just heartbroken for him, his family, and Coach Hunter and his program. Tragedy. And, really our hearts are with them during this challenging time. Our team, we've talked about it. And, life's fragile, and he will be missed. He had an infectious personality. As soon as my 4 kids at home, my oldest 2, they go to more basketball games than probably anybody. And my 12-year-old daughter goes, "Oh, yeah, Dad, I remember him. He's the one that's got the cool hair." That was the first thing she said. And we'd sit behind the bench, and he'd always interact with my kids, and such a special guy, and heartbroken for that family and for our basketball program. So moving on to today, day one. Some good, some bad always with day ones. I like the tempo. You can tell, we're now able to do OTAs and PLPs in the summer, so it doesn't look maybe quite as rusty in regards to like where we go for a certain drill as you might have in days past. A lot of new faces. You've heard me say it, but we got 60 new players in this roster out of now 115. So it's over half the roster is brand new. To Tulane football, and never even been here for a game. So a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainty. Some guys stepped up today and really flashed. Some of the guys that stepped up and flashed today, it's not coincidental that the guys have had great summers. Shaz Preston started the tempo period today really well. Well, Shaz Preston had maybe as good of a summer as anybody in our program. And so the guys that usually work really hard and have big gains in the summer, it's crazy how it pays off. You see them flash in practice. But excited about where we're at. Probably not going to name a starting quarterback today. So if that's what you're hoping for, I'm sorry, not happening today. But that might happen never. Might just play each game and you'll show up each week and see who we play. But like where we're at, long way to go. Journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. Today was step 1.
Coach, it seemed like Jake was learning a lot.
Yeah.
What does maybe this first week look like for him from that perspective?
Mm-hmm. Showed up a week ago yesterday here on campus just to start the process of the formal admission process, which he'd already sent all his transcripts and stuff in. But so he's a week in here, We're a pretty complex offense in regards to, like, we're not just running like 4 plays really fast over and over again. Like, we're not trying to make it harder than it needs to be, but we're a multi-formational team that does a lot of shifts and motions and plays with different personnel groupings. There's a lot to learn in that. The other challenge that is a small thing that people don't think about, but we're a verbal cadence team a lot of the time. We're not just a clap. I'm sure everybody, if you enjoy watching John Gruden, you see how much he loves the clap cadence. I'm kind of the same way. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not saying it's bad, but you have to understand how to control the tempo of the offense with your voice in this system. So that's a little bit new for him. He's learning a new playbook. He's learning his teammates. He's learning the city. He's learning a lot. He's a really bright guy. Picked up day one install probably quicker than most would. He's played high-level football. There will be a steep learning curve in regards to there's a lot coming at him fast. It'll slow down probably for him a little bit in a week or so. But it's a lot. I mean, it's a substantial thing to take on in a short period of time, and he's handling it really well. He's up here all the time on his own, trying to make sure he's, catching up to speed as fast as possible.
This competition, it feels like it has maybe more experience in the group this year as opposed to last year. How much of a plus is that for you during this evaluation process?
Yeah, like you said, the group has played a significant number of snaps. Caden Samanza started a couple games as a true freshman and started last year at Ball State and was the MAC Freshman Player of the Year. Brendan Sullivan has started games at 2 different Big Ten schools, all right, and led his team to wins at both of those places at points in time. And then Jake's played a lot. He started every game last year at BYU. And then Donovan probably has the least amount of in-game experience. He played behind Luke Altmaier last year as a really good high-level player at Illinois. Donovan's got real arm talent, though, but the experience of the group is real. You see that. Like, you feel that in the command at the line of scrimmage. There's I love every group I've ever coached, but this group of quarterbacks has a different level of maybe confidence or assertiveness at the line of scrimmage where it's like they're in command. They're not up there like guessing or hoping. They kind of like got a little swagger about like they know how to operate.
as you continue this process to get towards a month from now, how are you managing reps with those guys? I know across town it was like, this guy's taking the number ones today, and this guy's doing it tomorrow, and this guy's doing it the next day. Seemed like you mixed it up a little bit today.
Yeah, we will always mix it. There may be a point when we get down the road here where it maybe a couple guys get the lion's share of the reps in a certain day, and you may have a guy get the lion's share of the reps of the ones. It's for us at certain periods, certain drills. We chart their exact number of reps for the day. We chart how many reps are with the ones. There's 100 different ways to cut it. We're doing it similar to how we did it last year. Where each guy's going to get a few reps of the ones, few reps of the twos, few reps of the threes. See them operate. They all got to operate with the ones at some point in day one install today. Did not have Jake go with the ones today just because, out of respect to the guys that have been here, he didn't really take a bunch of snaps of the ones, but he'll get his opportunities as training camp goes on. The other guys got the lion's share of the reps of the ones today. I wouldn't read too much into that. That's just kind of, he's been here for a week. I want him to kind of put his stamp on who he is here for a little bit before putting him in that group. But they'll all get their run with the ones.
We're a month away from opener.
Yeah.
That's not mountainous odds for Jake to come in and start game one against Northwestern. I mean, a month away, he's been in big time programs before.
Yeah.
He could figure it out that quick, huh?
From a playing the game perspective, no concern. From a being able to operate and understand progressions, shifts, motions, all the stuff that goes on with the offense, that's where you just, how much can he grasp and operate, and how much can he know his teammates? And so it's not impossible. No, I mean when all these guys in that quarterback room came here under the premise of you have an opportunity to win the starting job. Even if you start game one, that doesn't mean you start game two. Like you have to earn it every day. You get what you earn, and nobody's been promised anything. Nobody's been kept out from an opportunity. Everybody's getting a shot to win the job and put their name on it. It's not impossible, no. Or we wouldn't have brought him in. I also am not going to sit here and go. You can't force it. You have to get him as prepared as you can get him. There's 24 hours in a day. We can't work him 24 hours in a day. Can't work him every minute of the day. He's got to get some sleep, and he's still got a class he's doing to finalize graduation at BYU. Like there's other things he's got other than just football right now. So he's got a lot to take on. Is it possible? Yes. Is it challenging? Yes. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be really, really hard to catch up to speed. But when I made the decision with the staff to bring him in, it wasn't necessarily just about game one. It was like, all right, we want to play 12-plus games, right? Well, it helps to have as many good players in your roster available to help you play the long haul of the season. I reflect back to 2019 when I was an assistant at Kentucky, and we had all our quarterbacks get hurt by the fifth game. We played with Lynn Bowden, he was with the Saints a couple years ago, who was a receiver. Lynn was our quarterback for 8 games. We never threw the ball. And so I'd like to be able to have a quarterback, play quarterback if at all possible. And so, I said this at media days, whoever prescribes the idea when it comes to good players that less is more, I totally disagree. I think more good players is more, not less good players. I want as many good players as we can have.
Can you talk about your camp schedule? You're here a couple of days
Yeah.
a week. You're going
Yeah.
outdoors. You're going on grass.
Yeah.
Is it mix it up? Is it just trying to minimize the amount of time you're out here on the turf in the heat? What's the thought process for camp?
Yeah, very much so. There's a balance with everything you're deciding. I'm into the sports science stuff. I'm also equally into being tough. So we're going to practice. Today was a long practice. If you were out there from start to finish, the first guys probably went out at 7:40 this morning, and we're done at a little after 10 o'clock. It's a long day. All right. So we're going to have days. We color code our practices almost like the olden days where it's all right, this is a red, which means practice is really hard. This is a yellow, which means it's somewhere in the middle. This is a green, which means it's pretty light. Today was a red practice. Well, there's a recovery element too. Going indoors with, out the heat helps with recovery and helps you not have to, you don't lose as much fluid and hydration, et cetera. Being on the grass, another component that's more of a joint, soft tissue deal. The turf. This turf we got is probably as good as you can get anywhere in the world. I think it's the same turf the Dallas Cowboys have. It's supposed to be the best out there. but there's something about getting on natural grass and running around here and there. So tomorrow we'll go to the Shrine out on Airline. Friday we'll be back here, and then Saturday there's conflict over at the Saints. We were going to the Saints originally to practice in the indoor. We'll go back to the Shrine. Then we may be at the Superdome a day or two. We've got it scheduled out. We're still kind of at the Saints' discretion, the Superdome's discretion for if they have a conflict that arises last minute, then we have to, have our ankles taped, so to speak. But we would like to get on the grass some. We would like to go indoors some. If we had the indoor completed here, we would do a few things indoors that we're not able to right now on our campus that we will be sooner than later, but we just can't this training camp. But it's about just a wellness and taking care of their body standpoint. That's it. I was about to say, I'm like, holy smokes.
Saving them for the rest of
Yeah. I'll see y'all. I'll see y'all.
every day, so we gotta take any questions, Coach.
Trey Shackelford made a heck of a catch.
Yeah.
How was his summer, and what do you see in his potential?
Really good ball skills. He made a catch last week in an OTA that we had down here in this corner of the end zone where he expected the ball over his left shoulder. It's thrown the outside shoulder, and he adjusted very naturally. He's got, like I said, great ball skills. Probably better speed. Like he's probably a faster runner when you're on him than you realize. Like when you're watching him, you probably think, all right, he runs okay. When I think when he plays, the DBs would tell you like he plays a touch faster than you anticipate. He's savvy, he's natural, he's smart, he's tough. He competed this summer in the summer conditioning program really well. Won several effort sprints. I think he's been a really good addition. I don't know. Last year, I've brought this up numerous times. I don't know. Last year, I could have told you Mario Williams is going to have a 800-yard plus year probably and hopefully get 1,000, right? I don't know if we have a receiver that's going to do that, like one guy. Where this receiver group is different is I feel like there's like 8 or 9 guys I could see like playing significant snaps and us winning with them on the field. It's a much deeper group that's just really, really solid across the board. So he's one of those guys that's been really a pleasant surprise with how he's done things. You go back and watch his tape when he was at Austin Peay. He had almost 800 yards a couple of years ago there. Went to Washington State, did some good things. Didn't have maybe quite the numbers he had at Austin Peay. I think he's probably excited about getting the opportunity to play in this offense, and he saw what happened last year with the 3 receivers we had. They all had production. 2 of them are in NFL training camps right now. This offense, if you're a really good receiver, it's going to give you opportunities to have explosive plays, and his ball skills stick out.
Over the spring, you kind of told us the ability that Caden Simonza and Donovan Leary had. What do you see in Jake Retzlaff? Like, what does he bring to this team?
Jake's got time on task. There's no substitute at that position for, like, having been in the saddle and, like, looked across the line against another team in a different color jersey. So I don't think he's a very calm, poised guy. I don't think he's going to get rattled. He's played a lot of football. I mean, was a starter at Riverside Community College, went to BYU, started a couple of games in 23, started all of them in 24. There's so many situations, environment scenarios he's been thrust into that I think he's got a little bit of calm, collective nature about him. Good arm talent, runs a little bit better than you think. I think you could go watch some of the plays in the Baylor game last year and you're like, okay, this guy can move. Like he runs, more than capable. I think the other thing I have a lot of respect for him on. New guy coming into a room that's got some good players in it, and how I've been able to watch him interact with the rest of the quarterback room the last week. He's just got a natural, personality where he interacts well with others. And I think the other guys in that room have done a good job of accepting him and understanding that it's what's best for our team. But he's played a lot of football. There's no substitute for how many snaps he's played and the situations and environments he's been in.
John, it's obviously a unique recruit. I mean, what you all had to do to get him in here, the vetting process. Can you kind of explain why you felt good enough to bring him in here because of his background?
Yeah, well, I've said this at our media days. This is really the first time I've spoken locally, but 2022 when I was head coach at Troy, and Jake was at Riverside Community College, he had 1 scholarship offer, Troy, for like 3 months. Like it was like September to December. He took an official visit with us at Troy. He still had 1 FBS scholarship offer. after we won our conference title game that year, 2 days later, I was on a plane to go to California to see just him. I thought he was the quarterback we were taking in that transfer group. And a couple days later, BYU offered, and he's like, Coach, proximity to home, opportunity to maybe play a little higher level football in his mind. And so he stayed out west and went to BYU. So there was that prior relationship that made some things a little more comfortable. The first thing you have to do anytime there's an issue that could be presented like his was, you have to do your due diligence on campus through Title IX. And that's not a football coach thing, that's a campus thing. And so they turned it over to them before we even really moved forward and said, hey, is this a yes or a no? After their process, they responded with, we're more than comfortable with him being a part of our student body off of the information that's been fully presented and vetted. Then you have to go through the academic component. And, with our procedures here on progress towards degree, that it's an NCAA rule and how many transferable units we'll take, he had to graduate BYU to be able to come here. He couldn't come here without being a grad transfer, really. And so he's in the process of finalizing his last class right now, which he's on track to do in short order here. And then you go to, all right, all those other boxes check. Does this fit football-wise? And timeline, if you ask me, like, would I rather a guy like that come in January or July? January. June or July? June. Like, sooner's better there. But it presented, and as we went through the process and felt like it could be a fit mutually, it was important for our quarterback room to understand it wasn't a knock on them. We didn't bring Jake in as an indictment of who's on our roster at quarterback. I like our quarterback room. Like, I think we can win games with Caden Samanza, with Brendan Sullivan, with Donovan Leary. Would it look a little different with each guy, how we win the game? Yeah. And does having another good player in that room that has played high-level football make our team better? I think it probably does. And so, the job has not been won by anybody. Nothing's written in stone yet, and we're all competing with each other to figure out who the starter is. But as we went through the process, it made sense to bring a guy in that I think really was deserving of an opportunity, and it fit.
Did you feel the need to talk to, I'm sure you did, each of the quarterbacks?
Oh, yeah. One of my greatest strengths is probably also a weakness at times, but I'm brutally honest. I don't pull any punches. Like, I made sure I had a chance to look our quarterback room in the eye before really even telling Jake he could come. And I felt good that Jake was going to come once I told him he could come, but look the quarterback room in the eye and tell them, hey, guys, here's what we're doing. Or here's what we're likely doing. Here's why. And I explained to them the 2019 situation at Kentucky where we had no quarterbacks by the end of the year. And I'm like, and then at the same time, I told them all, I said, who in here has been promised anything from me about playing time to come here? And they all were like, you haven't promised anybody anything. Okay, he's been told the same thing y'all were told. He didn't get brought in with a guarantee of you're going to start game one. You know who's going to start game one? Who earns it between now and game one. And so, but we talked very transparently with the quarterback room because I think that's the way you handle these things. I care about everybody in that room. I love all those guys. I think they're all great guys, and it's important for us to be upfront with them and, and honest with them. And we have been completely honest, like maybe brutally honest to a fault. Yep. All right. I plan on seeing everybody tomorrow, right?